everyone, welcome back to another Teacher Time with Kelsie. It is Wednesday, which means we are going to be doing our artist spotlight today. I have a special artist for you guys that is related to the artist that we already introduced, but also has his own really unique style, and it's one that I think a lot of you will connect with, and one that I think connects with a lot of the artwork that I've seen kids who go to Little Owl and kids who don't go to Little Owl doing lately. So I'm really happy to share this with you guys, and we'll get started. Just get your favorite drink, find your cozy spot, and I will introduce you to our artist, Keith Haring. So now that you've gotten to see some of Keith Haring's work, I'm sure there's a lot of things there that you guys are really fascinated by. I know when I looked through a lot of his art, it reminded me of a lot of things that I've seen in the Olive Room and even in some other classrooms. I think the style that he has is something that a lot of kids connect to. It's kind of the way that kids draw and think of ideas too. So hopefully that was really inspiring for you, and you'll be really excited to do our art activity a little bit later too. So before we do that, I do want to tell you a little bit about Keith Haring. He's a pretty fascinating person. When he was younger, probably a lot of your age, he used to draw all the time, but usually he would draw with his dad. So what him and his dad would do together is they would draw cartoons, and his dad would draw part of it, and then Keith would draw the next, and then his dad would draw a little bit more, and then Keith would add a little bit more, and they just would kind of build on each other's cartoon picture until it became this really big picture too. So sharing that process with his dad and sharing art with his dad is a lot of what got Keith Haring really interested in art, and it also got him started on something called doodling, which we've mentioned to a couple kids in the Olive Room, but I'm not sure if everybody knows what that means. But doodling is it's when you're drawing but not necessarily with a plan, but you might be drawing specific things. So maybe a lot of the kids in the Olive Room really like to doodle sea creatures, so they'll just draw a bunch of sea creatures all over a page, and maybe they don't have a plan for the whole picture. It's just a lot of little pictures all in one big page, just all the sea creatures they can think of. They're just drawing and drawing and drawing. And that's kind of what Keith Haring would do. So he would have a piece of paper and he'd just doodle all over it. And that was really where he started and where a lot of his ideas started to come out. And then as he got older, he moved to a place where there was a lot of artists. He moved to New York, and he learned a lot from those artists, and he was really inspired by them. And he kind of started to find his own style outside of just doodling, where he would create specific pictures. And these pictures were still abstract, kind of like the artist that we mentioned before. He didn't have them look exactly like what they look like, but they were a little more realistic because he did use the shapes and lines that he saw on specific things. So if he saw a dog, he might draw the outline of a dog, or he drew a lot of outlines of people, he drew outlines of buildings, he drew outlines of spaceships. So he had specific ideas in his mind, but they didn't always look like the realistic picture. He would kind of create his own version of them. And a lot of you guys got a chance to see that in just some of the pictures of his artwork too. But he really liked to do outlines of things. And then from those outlines, he would add different patterns and designs to kind of make those grow and make them a little bit bigger and a little more unique. But the outlines that really fascinated him the most were the outlines of people's bodies. So when he was in New York, he would actually see a lot of break dancers. So that's people, for those of you who don't know, it's people who usually dance to like hip hop music, and they do a lot of movements on the ground. So they have a lot of spins and tricks and different, almost like in yoga, how you would do different poses. They have different poses, but they do it while they're dancing. So Keith Haring would watch these break dancers, and he would be so fascinated by the way that their bodies would pose and stop and move, and he would actually create outlines of those different poses. And that was kind of what really got him inspired in creating those outlines of people and trying to include that movement in there. And then he would add different designs to kind of show more of that movement, or even some of the music too, which obviously relates to some of the artists we've explored too. But something else that I thought was really cool about him was he got this inspiration just from people who he saw around him, the dancers he saw around him, and what he would do with those ideas is he wouldn't necessarily go and put them on a canvas or something really special. He would actually put them just out in the world. So a lot of times he would take chalk and he would draw his pictures on the subway, which is almost kind of like a train. Some of you might have been on a subway before. It's kind of like an underground train. But he would draw pictures just on like black paper that he saw on the subway. Or sometimes he'd draw his pictures on walls or sidewalks. But a lot of time his tool that he used was just chalk. Which is kind of crazy. Sometimes we get chalk and we don't really think of it as a tool to do these really big pieces of art, but that's what Keith Haring used to do his art. So I thought that was something that was really cool. And it was something that he did that a lot of other people could enjoy too. So that was really the big piece that I wanted to connect with today, because I feel like what Keith Haring did with his art is actually something that I've seen people doing with their art lately, with kind of just being able to stay around their house, but also being a way that people have enjoyed a lot of art lately. So when someone draws on the sidewalk, it's kind of nice because then those families who are going on a walk can see that artwork too and enjoy it. So that is actually where I wanted to go with our art experience today. So for this art experience, what you're going to do is you are actually going to use chalk, just like Keith Haring would. And if you don't have chalk, that's okay too. I didn't have chalk at home, so I'm actually using chalk pastels. If you want to use another drawing tool like markers, colored pencils, or maybe even use paint or something, that's totally fine. Use what you have available, but if you do have chalk, it would be great for you to be able to really connect with Keith Haring and use the tool that he does. So what we're going to do with that chalk is you are going to find a spot outside, or maybe find a large paper that you can use to do it inside, and you're going to start by creating an outline of your body or someone else's body. So for this, you will need a little bit of help. You might need to get a parent or a brother or sister, whoever else might be in your home that could help you, and see if they can either do the outline of your body for you, or maybe if they could lay down so that you could outline them too. So whichever you prefer. You're going to use the chalk to create the outline of the body, and then you're going to use that outline to actually create a Keith Haring inspired design. So we're going to add a little bit of patterns and different designs to it and see what we make. You can start creating the outline of your body by laying down and having somebody trace you with chalk or whatever other drawing material you have available. For me, I was working inside, so I started with pencil and then did the rest of my outline with chalk afterwards. Once you have your outline, you can start adding designs on the inside. I started with a few designs that I actually found in a lot of Keith Haring's work. You could also play with shapes and lines within your outline to create different designs. Keep adding whatever colors, shapes, or pictures you want until you feel like the inside of your outline is finished. Once the inside of your design feels done, you can start playing with lines on the outside as well. I used a few straight lines and a few curved lines to show movement and just add some extra designs to my picture. When you're finished, take a step back and look at your Keith Haring inspired design. If you made it outside, you may even want to take a picture so you can take another look at it later. So that was our Keith Haring inspired art experience. I hope it's something that you guys enjoyed and that you were able to really connect with. I would love to see any of the artwork you created, and I'm sure that if you created artwork outside, it's something that a lot of other people are going to really enjoy too. So thank you for doing that with me today and for trying that out, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!